In the spirit of reconciliation, the new Blurt acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today.
I can't take it anymore! Good afternoon, good evening, good day. Blurt to wherever you are around the world. You are listening to the Blurt.
You are listening to the Blurt, and you're coming from Daylesford in Victoria and from Brisbane in Queensland, because I'm on holidays at the moment. But still, got enough time to get the Blurt happening. Wency came up with a fantastic suggestion last week that it's NAIDOC week this week. In fact, I will let Wency probably take over from here and say when it starts and what the history is and why we are celebrating on the show. So go, Wency. Good evening to you.
Good evening. I hope it's not overly cold for you down there in Daylesford, because I know it does get quite cold.
Freaking freezing, but that's fine.
Yep, that's how you roll. You just carry on. Okay. So we're going to get cracking straight into it this week. Celebrating NAIDOC Week as part of Indelible Indigenous, our segment that we have regularly on this show. NAIDOC Week is a week-long festival. This year started on the 4th of July and ends on the 11th. So it always starts on the first Sunday of July and includes the second Friday of the month. So that's why it goes for the 8 days. NAIDOC stands for National Aborigines and Islanders Day Observance Committee. This year's theme is Hill Country, which you can see in our background today. So originally NAIDOC Week started as a protest against Australia Day back in the early 20s. Wasn't known as NAIDOC back then, and it was actually started as the National Aboriginal Day.
And what day was that? So you say back in the 1920s. It's amazing it started that far back, because NAIDOC has really only, from my perspective, really only sort of been on the radar so much in the last 5 or 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was marketed as much or if people were looking out for it as much, but it's definitely something that's on the calendar nowadays, which is really good.
Yeah, it's evolved over time. Obviously, it started as a protest, and then it moved on to a celebration instead of protesting against Australia Day. It used to be called the National Aborigines Day Observance Committee, but then they added the Islanders. Yeah. So it's no longer celebrating the day of mourning, which is Australia Day. So it's really just to celebrate the culture, and every year they have a different theme. I think in the past it's been about treaties and other themes. So that it has its place in our culture, where they try to move their try to influence us as other Australians to embrace their culture, I guess, by celebrating all their good stuff that they do.
Well, it's all about Hill Country, isn't it? This year, and they got a really good. They've got an art competition. Entries close on the Sunday, 25th of July, if people are interested in joining. So, to celebrate NAIDOC Week 2021, Deakin University is inviting young people between 5 to 19 years of age to submit their artwork in response to this year's NAIDOC theme, Hill Country. And the year's theme calls for us to continue to seek greater protection for our lands, our waters, our sacred sites, our cultural heritage from exploitation, desecration, and destruction, which is pretty heavy subjects. And and it absolutely should be spotlighted because, as you know, some of the disgusting work that's been happening from corporates on not protecting the Aboriginal sites and Aboriginal Aboriginal cave paintings and different drawings and sacred areas that some of the mining companies. Did we find out what that mining company was? The one that
No, forgot to do
in
my
Western
homework on that
Australia.
one.
I did find it, and it's gone again, which is really annoying. But
One of the big
so
companies.
it's just disgraceful. But I mean, some of the governments aren't good enough at stopping land clearing in the different areas. I mean, even the Victorian government down here has been sort of charged with removing really aged trees, etc. Which isn't good at all, especially when they've got a sacred presence for the Aboriginals, etc. It's interesting. I was listening today regarding what's happening in Canada at the moment.
Oh yeah.
And I think we spoke on the show a few weeks ago about it, which was that there was some skulls and remains found in a school that basically a Catholic mission school, very much like they did in Australia with the Aboriginals, and they stole the kids and gave them to
families.
Yeah, but I mean, as you know, a lot of the times they gave them to families that wanted, because they thought they were saving the children, because basically they were told lies by the government that these kids were abused and desperate and everything else, and they need to be taken away. And a lot of the parents that did take the kids, they took them in good faith. They didn't know that.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, this sort of treatment is exactly what they're uncovering more and more in Canada.
That's amazing that they're discovering all this now in Canada.
Yeah, I don't know why it's particularly just now when people are waking up, but I was just listening today, and the recent Canada Day celebrations, which is July the 1st, normally annually for Canada Day, you'll see a lot of red and white and a lot of red flags flapping in the wind, etc. But this year there was a lot of orange around, and the representation of the orange was that there was a girl that was taken away years ago from her Indigenous family, and she was put into one of these missions or whatever, and she either ran away or she tried to escape, etc., and some gruesome end, I believe, came to her, and she was wearing, I think, an orange blouse when she ran away.
Wow!
And so that was the representation that So the same sort of deal as we don't really celebrate January 26th. That and you and I definitely don't. But
we don't. No.
But a lot of people around Australia aren't celebrating that much now. I don't really even hear people. Apart from government, I don't really hear a lot of people. I mean, in the old days, people used to wish each other Happy Australia Day, but people just don't do that now. I don't see it very often. I'm not sure about you.
No, you still see the planned events that happen around the city or around your area where they celebrate it in a park or whatever, but it's not. It doesn't seem to be as marketed or advertised like it used to be when, even as far as 5 or 6 years ago, or 8 years ago when I was in Melbourne last. It used to be, you'd see a lot of celebrations back then, but the last 5 or so years, it's not so much.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think people are just waking up more and more to Indigenous plight and how much their culture has been destroyed, but not just their culture, how their history has been rewritten by white man because they can. In that, their history is written in caves and on song lines and in paintings and in the earth and all the rest of it. But so it was very, very easy to have that history rewritten in a way that looks better for the white man. And it definitely is a thorn in my in my side, that one, definitely.
Exactly. As Australians, I'm not a native. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. I wasn't born in Australia, but I've been here since I was 2, and I consider myself an Australian. And even I'm embarrassed by what we did in the past.
Yeah, well, I'm exactly the same as you. I came here since I was 2 as well, and I'm exactly the same. I am definitely ashamed of things that happened in the past, and
even things are hidden. Like in high school and just school in general, we were never taught about Indigenous culture or anything like that. It was always about European history or the Chinese history. Never our own people. So, which you never thought about back then. You just thought, this is what we need to know. But as you get older, you just realize, oh shit, we've forgotten this whole continent of Indigenous peoples, First Nations people that don't have a voice.
Yeah, it's I know exactly how you feel, and I don't know why, but someone just came in. Sorry about that. It's just weird.
Hopefully, someone you know.
Yeah, it was someone I know, but I'm not sure what they do. But anyway, So I mean, that's why NAIDOC week and I can't remember. There was not that long ago. We did another show whereby it was another celebration of
Reconciliation Week.
Reconciliation Week. Yeah, absolutely. So, as I say, more and more of this conversation is coming up in normal mainstream conversation. It's not being hidden anymore, which is particularly good. But
which is why I think it's great that we've introduced this segment, Indelible Indigenous, to our program, so that we can highlight the people who have contributed to our society here in Australia. So,
absolutely. On indelible, I can't even pronounce it. On Indelible Indigenous, I was quite creative. Can't I pronounce it?
I blame the cold for you.
On the Indelible Indigenous today, I've got a couple of things. They're not necessarily about a person, but they are about the Aboriginality and the culture that Victoria is as a state and as an entity joining in a treaty with the Indigenous Victorians, if you like. So the Victorian government is leading the way, is leading the country through its work towards a treaty or treaties with Aboriginal Victorians. Working together create a better future for all Victorians. So there's no set form of what a treaty is or what it should contain, but each treaty is shaped by the history between the parties and the social political context in which it's made. In Victoria, there could be one statewide treaty or multiple treaties with individual Aboriginal groups. So I don't think that it has been sanctified yet. Don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but it'll have to work. It's been confirmed and agreed on as such, but I know it's something they're definitely looking to do. And this is straight from Ben Abertangelo. It's empowering. It's showing the kids is sorry, it's empowering. It's showing the kids the future is one which you can prosper in, and that you do not have to compromise your Aboriginality to be successful.
Yeah.
So, good evening. I can see you there. So I'm really looking forward to this treaty being confirmed, getting off the ground, and working with the as I say, the Aboriginal. I can never work out if I'm meant to be saying First Nations, Indigenous, or Aboriginals.
I can fill you in a little bit about that one. I was reading up about that earlier.
Good. I'm very, very looking forward to that. So I've got one more little thing just to say. Where we are here at Dalesford, it's quite interesting in Victoria because there's an area where there's some walks called the Hepburn Spring Walk and et cetera, et cetera. And in that area are certain regional parks.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2015, the Victorian government actually gave the land back to the Indigenous of the area. And so they now run and maintain, I think, 4 or 5 of the parks in this area. So the freehold land, i.e. people that already have houses, etc., you own your houses, but 4 or 5 of the national parks in this area, it's quite a bit of land, went back to the Aboriginals. And the beautiful thing about that is that you can see where they've done cultured burning, and you can see how it's affect the regrowth in the forest, etc. So, things are definitely happening, which is really, really good. From a Indigenous perspective, I imagine not fast enough.
No, I was going to say it's a bit slow, all this movement, but look, we are progressing, which is great. I had a question about that. I had a question about the that treaty. Were there any timelines?
Yeah, no, it's a really, really good question. Timelines in that when it's meant to be confirmed, or
how they're progressing, and do they have a date when they want to make a?
It was reviewed the 30th of March 2021. We're now in July, so you would think that would have to be somewhere near it by now, wouldn't it?
Who knows how long it takes to.
Wish I could get more information. What I will do is I'll put the link in the show notes, and I will see if I can find out some more information just to see exactly where that is, because obviously it would make a difference to know.
Good to find out when we can expect a nice.
All right. Well, I'll put that in my homework.
All right. Nice homework for everyone. Gotta love it.
You do. You do indeed.
As part of NAIDOC this year, Australia Post are now making a room on envelopes to be able to put Indigenous place names.
Oh, fantastic!
Of where you're sending it. So that was actually raised as a petition by a lady by the name of Rachel McPhail, and she'd been petitioning Australia Post for years to get that done, and finally this year Australia Post listened and have made that accommodation. So thanks to Rachel McPhail, she's worked hard with her community to get that in place. So it's great that we've got that now. Is
she a Green rep, or where's that coming from?
No, she's an Indigenous First Nations person, and so she decided to. Oh, she was petitioning for years to get that in place with Australia Post. So she finally got it done. Australia Post helped out and came up with a new guideline. So if you go to Australia Post website, there's a section there on how you use an envelope, and there's a little location for your stamp and your address, but there's a special section now on how or where you'd put the country, the Indigenous first, the country that your suburb lives in or is.
That sounds really cool. Now, just getting back to that, you were talking before that the difference between, or how we should refer to Aboriginals, First Nations, or Indigenous to get it correct and respectful. What's the situation, Wency?
So there's many different names that have been used with our First Nations people. So that's one of them, First Nations. There's the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, Indigenous Australian, Aboriginal, First Australians, Aborigine. Aborigine is not one that's used much these days because it's quite derogatory, because it's original. It's a real word. Meaning is original inhabitants.
So why would that be derogatory? Because they are the original inhabitants.
Yeah, they are. Because it's used as a noun. So when it's used as a noun, it's deemed as dehumanizing. So you're not putting emphasis on the people.
Right.
And so Aboriginal is used as an adjective. So that's a bit more accepted. Indigenous is another popular one that's been used recently.
Well, what would the First Nations, Indigenous, Aboriginal, First Peoples, what would they prefer? What would they prefer us use?
Like a lot of these discussions, like your treaties, how every country is different with how they'd want a treaty done. Every group has their own preference. So it's very hard to say which one is the correct term to use. First Nation seems to be one of the easiest option. First Australians can be used. But the fact that if you say First Australians, it's often not accepted either by Indigenous people because it's got the word Australia in there, which then refers back to colonization and things like that. So
right. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll put the link into the show notes so you can read the different terms and which one and why they have been used or are being used now and which one's the preferred one. But it seems like First Nations people is emerging as probably the better word.
Yeah, it definitely sounds that way from what you're saying. First Nations is the way to go.
Yeah.
And I particularly want to get the culture right. You know, I want to make sure that I am being respectful.
Exactly.
When we're referring. So, now the other thing, just to say, and we'll just wrap this up because we do have a couple of other things to talk about as well. But we did want to have a concentration on NAIDOC. You'll have it in the show notes, but with NAIDOC, there's so many NAIDOC events on. So just have a look at the website, look at the link we put in, and you can see how many events. There will probably be an event near you. If you're anywhere near, I think, Footscray or anything like that in Victoria, there's an event in Williamstown. If you're anywhere near Frankston, etc., I know there's an event out in Mount Martha. And I know, Mount Martha, and I know there's obviously some events up in Brisbane as well. So just check those links out and do accordingly.
Yeah, so on NAIDOC website, you just go to Get Involved in NAIDOC Week Events, select your state or your postcode, and it'll give you a list of all the events in your area or of interest.
Beautiful.
One last thing that I want to say about NAIDOC Week and First Nations people is listen to Triple J on a Sunday between 5 and 6 p.m. They have a new segment that's now in its 4th week. I think it is this Sunday. It's called Blackout. It's DJ'd by Nookie, Indigenous man, and he just plays all sorts of native. He plays all sorts of music by Indigenous artists. First Nations or Indigenous artists.
Yeah.
And they'll talk about topics, cultural information as well. So I had to listen to the first week. Look, it sounded very interesting. So it goes for an hour every week. You can listen to it on their podcast that they've got.
Excellent. That's what I wanted you to say. That's what I was waiting for.
So do yourself a favor, go listen to it.
I will. Nicely done. Nicely done. Well, look, as we've been a bit heavy this morning, this evening, but which is going to make it a little bit fun now. We've got sports of all sorts, but I don't have a Sting yet. So I'm just going to start with a couple of weird and wonderful. Now, the idea of sports of all sorts is that we all know about NFL and AFL and MFL and all the rest of it. And we know about association football or soccer, if you like, and badminton and all the other sort of sports we know about. But some of these lesser-known sports are just as engrossing and interesting. And one of the ones we had last time was called Tepak Sagro. It's one of the biggest sports in Asia, and it's all about putting soccer with volleyball, and it's pretty amazing to watch. And these guys are just crazy shit. So anyway, that was one we had last time, and we also talked about wife. Was it wife carrying? That's it.
Yeah.
Wife carrying from Finland. Yes. Nice. Very good. Very good. So this week I've got a couple, and I know you'll have some. So I'm just going to start with this one. It's called, and apparently it is a sport. It's called chess boxing. So this unlikely combination of sports involves brains and brawn. Competitors play 11 alternating rounds of chess and boxing for 3 minutes each. This little-known sport has fans in Germany, India, Russia, and the UK. Who would have thought?
What if they miss the face and they hit the pieces? Does that mean they've lost?
Well, the chess pieces and the set seems to be a long way from the ring, but I don't really quite understand that. Like, if they're laying on the canvas, nearly knocked out, if they've just got just enough in them to move a piece, are they still in it? I mean,
I guess so.
I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if there are any rules, to be honest.
I don't know. I really don't know. There's another one here that I found I thought was quite interesting. It's called the Redneck Games.
Oh,
and
this has got to be America.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. They're definitely rednecks, but it is. When I first read it, I thought, oh, Ireland sounds a bit weird, but anyway, held in East Dublin.
Right. Okay.
Georgia. So East Dublin, Georgia, which would be in America somewhere.
Right. Okay.
Every summer since, you've got some really great individuals here. In the picture I'm looking at, I can see a very rotund man with a Dukes of Hazzard Jesse white beard and jean shorts with a bikini clad with a Confederate flag bikini of no less than that, a Confederate flag bikini. So that's wonderful, absolutely beautiful. This has been held in summer since 1996. This athletic event involves, that's me doing quotes, air quotes to Wency there. This athletic events involves unique sports you might not usually see in any other sporting context. Some of the events include toilet seat tossing, seed spitting, mud belly flops, armpit serenades, and dumpster diving. It's a wonderful event for the family. I think you should back up. Make sure you get there next year.
once their flights have come down to real life prices, I'm booking my ticket.
Not 38,000. Not 38,000 pop.
No, $80,000 for the family. No thanks. Oh dear.
Oh
right.
God.
Book me in for that one next year.
Oh well, nice, excellent. You're in. Go for it.
All right. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if this would be classified as a sport in its traditional form, but seeing as it's a competition and it's been running for many decades, I'm calling this a sport.
Come on, out with it. Out with it. We've only got 10, 15 minutes to go. Come on, out with it.
This one is the USA's Nathan's famous international hot dog eating contest. Bit of a
no.
As opposed to what Joey Chestnut broke his own record by eating 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Is that really a sport? I mean, seriously?
Well, it's a competition.
It's definitely a competition.
I'll call that a sport. well, golf is a sport.
Oh,
Apparently.
right. You're going to go there, are you? You're going to go there.
Considering I used to play it, but yeah, I don't find that a sport either.
No,
But,
well,
yes. Joey broke his own record from last year. He ate 76 hot dogs, and it's his 14th win in 15 years.
oh, Jesus.
Obviously,
What's the size of Joey?
he's actually not that large. He's quite slim, surprisingly.
Jesus
He must not
Christ.
eat throughout the rest of the year and just eats on this one day. I don't know.
Is he tall?
Can't tell on the video, but
Oh,
yes,
right. Okay.
he looks average. But man, he can stuff it down
76 in 10 minutes.
in 10 minutes.
I can tell you now, trying to do that, I would choke on the first one. Like, I would choke.
I'll probably get through about 4 or 5, and that's about it. And then just go, right, that's it.
Nah, I don't reckon I would get anywhere near that.
And the highest ranked woman, Michelle Lesko, came in at 9th. But she only ate 30 3/4 of a hot dog.
Only 30.
And 3/4. So
she's slacking.
Yeah, she slacked off. Yeah.
She's letting the women down.
Yeah, she has. Less than half of what the men can do.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
yeah, apparently this sport or contest started on the 4th of July 1916 when 4 immigrants wanted to show how patriotic they were by eating at the Nathan's stand on Coney Island. So that's where
Oh, that makes sense. 1916. I didn't realize Coney Island had been around that long. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. I think I may have mentioned it in one of the previous segments where the roller coaster, one of the first ones in America, was on Coney Island.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was around the turn of the 19th century, around there from memory.
Yeah.
So that's my sport for this week.
That's your sport. Excellent. Well, I've got another sport as well, just to sign off on, and then we'll get into the real stuff, Beerucation.
Yes.
Bog snorkeling. Now, Hamish of Andy and Hamish and Andy fame has done this. I've seen him do this on video. I can't remember if Andy did it as well. Hamish definitely did it. But Andy might have as well. Every August, over 100 swimmers from across the globe meet up in the Welsh town of, obviously you can't pronounce it, Wells, to take part in the annual World Bog Snorkeling Championships. All participants need to wear flippers and snorkels and have to complete 2 lengths of a 60-yard trench without using any traditional swimming strokes whatsoever.
So you can crawl in it?
Well, I don't know how deep it is, so I'm not sure. I don't know what the situation is there. I don't know.
Sure,
I do
it's
not
going
know.
to be at least a foot deep.
Yes, well, definitely at least a foot. At least a foot.
At least.
They're snorkeling, so yeah. But unfortunately, it doesn't tell you how deep it is. I might do a little bit of research just to find how deep that is because it looks interesting. But we'll definitely make sure that we put this link up for these weird and wonderful sports because they are a bit weird and wonderful. So they're quite fun to have a look at.
I wonder how thick the bogs are. Are they watery inconsistency or is it like mud?
Now, too many questions. That's all I can say. Too many questions. And not enough of this, if I could ever find it. But
Beers, get on the beers.
not enough of that.
Beers.
So you prepared?
Always prepared for this segment.
Seriously, get on the beers.
All right, I'll have to go and get prepared. Meanwhile, I'll give you some good preparation music. Here we go.
Gotta love that sound. So, on this week's episode of Beerucation, I will start this in a second once Kexter's back. The awkward silence. Oh. Bit chilly up here in Brisbane this week. Not as chilly as in Dalesford where Kexter is, but can't complain. We will get back to this segment in just a few moments. A few moments, a few moments, a few moments. I hear doors and steps coming. And he's back. It's not quite ready, but he's back. What have you missed? What have you missed?
Did I miss anything?
No, I was just talking to myself.
That's all right. Good. So what have you got? What do you got? What do you got for me?
I have the hair of the dog. No, it's not how I feel.
I was going to say.
It is called Hair of the Dog.
Hair
XPA.
of the Dog. XPA. Nice.
Hair of the Dog.
Nice.
And the brewery is Old Wives Ales.
Old Wives Ales.
Ales, yes. Just got to love these names.
Yes, you've done yourself proud. You've done yourself proud.
I've got to get this close to the microphone. That's a real one, not a recorded one.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So this is an extra hoppy, extra dry pale ale that wears a size 13 shoe. I'm reading straight off the website. So I want to see if this is true. Its big, tropical aroma invites you to party at Copacabana before hints of citrus and pine give you your first clue that some seriously well-dressed flavor is about to arrive. Our debut brew, this easy drinker is friendly enough for the morning. Yeah, I don't know about that. For the morning after the night before, and the perfect way to begin your next tasting session. It's 5.8%.
I was going to ask.
And 1.7 drinks, standard drinks in a can. And let's see if it's got a nice golden color.
Did you say 1.7?
1.7 standard drinks. In this
Oh,
little
wow. I
can.
thought it would have been at least 2 if it was 5.8.
Yeah. It's a standard size can, 375.
Okay.
So it's quite pale in color. It's very straw-like.
Oh, it's lovely. Very nice.
Yeah. Quite a big head there.
Yes. But that's a bit abusive, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. And now for the taste, let's see if it's got that punchy tropical aroma. It definitely has a nice tropical aroma. Got to give them that.
You're going to have to get a sound effect. That's good. Very good.
I am tasting something citrusy. Oh, yeah.
I mean, an orange. All
Orangey.
right.
Yeah, no, orangey, I was going to say. Orangey or mandarin-like, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually quite nice.
Crazy.
It's not heavy to drink, and it's not very bitter at all. Sort of sits between an American Pale Ale and an IPA in bitterness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Its IBU is only 44, so normally IPAs are in the 60s or more.
Yes.
It's quite low. Yeah.
So
nice.
it's got a bit of sweetness about it then.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say sugary or anything like that, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's quite nice. Easy to drink.
Sounds good.
Four out of 5 Blurt stars from me.
Nice, brother Wentz. Well, I have one. See if you can see that. If I can ever get it in there properly. There we go.
That's it. Hemp beer. Hepatitis.
Empathy.
Empathy. Sorry.
No, not hepatitis.
Not hepatitis. Right. Okay. Empathy. Is that a local brew from around the Dalesford?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, as you can see, it's quite cloudy. No head. It's it's an interesting ale. I have had it before. It's from the Shed Shaker Mob in Castlemaine.
Okay.
And by virtue of the close association with marijuana, Australia's hemp industry is a fledgling one. It was only in November 2017 the laws regarding the consumption of hemp-based products changed, and now hemp farming is becoming serious business. So the beer was quite a hit at the conference and has since become a permanent member of the brewery's lineup and one of the first 2 beers they've canned. The style's called Pale Ale with Hemp, and the ABV is 4.8. It's a really nice beer. I've had this one before, but it's very tasty. I quite like the label on it. It looks a bit Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. Do you get the munchies afterwards?
Yes, it's a good question. No, I normally have chips. I normally have chips in my beer anyway, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's satiation as you're drinking, so it's all good. I'm just trying to see if I can find. Here we go. What have we got? The seed. Okay. To meet the brief, the Castlemaine Brewery enlisted the help of Bungill Farm in nearby Kyneton to provide the hemp seed meal for the beer. The seed meal makes up 10% of the beer, which is otherwise a fairly straightforward pale ale. Rye was also thrown into the mix, which, along with Saz, I don't know if you know about Saz, I don't, and Golding's hops, was chosen to support to the hemp's spicy, nutty, and earthy, twiggy qualities, which are dominant flavors of the beer, supported by a little peach and low bitterness. That's true. It does taste like a bundle of kindling, no doubt about it.
Nice. That looks like a pick of the night. Oh, very nice. Cheers, buddy.
To you, my friend.
Yes.
To you, my friend. Oh, lovely work on the back screen on the Blurt this week. That's a beautiful.
Okay. It is.
Yeah, it's a lovely picture by Hill Country. That is absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
For the NAIDOC week.
There. It's on the NAIDOC website. I can put the link there if anyone wants it as their backdrop for any reason.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would have that at work as my backdrop. That's awesome. I love it. It's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's...
Well, I think that's the show for this week.
I think so.
We've
done all of our segments.
We have indeed. We're all through. What we've been doing is just we've been condensing the time a little bit. Just done a little bit of market research and realised that it looks like people like a shorter show, and it's easier for Wentz and I, and also the way that we podcast. It just makes it easier to get it out a little bit quicker as well. Exactly. So now next week, again as usual, I can't tell you what will be on. If you've got any particular preferences, Wentzy. Oh, actually, we could do. I think. Chinese takeaway, or did we do that just a couple of weeks ago? I think maybe we might review Party in the USA again. I don't think we've looked at that for a little while. Yeah, I'll check out our segments.
Podcast.
Sorry,
or a potty review, or
yeah. I think maybe I have something like that. We might even do what's on the box, but actually, I'll tell you what we will do because we haven't done it for ages. We can do listen to this.
Yes. Okay.
So if you've got some good ideas on that side, will be very, very good.
Sure.
So maybe we'll do a listen to this next week, and we'll sort of have a chat and see what the other ones are. Yep. Anyway, that is the show for this evening. It's good night from me,
and it's good night for him too.
Yes, indeed. Good night, people.
Good evening. Good night, everyone.
And
good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are.
Good afternoon. That's it. Wherever you are around the world, that's 100% correct. And if I can ever find this, we'll actually finish the show. Yes, that's a good way to finish it too.
For life is quite absurd, and death's
Bye, people.
You must always
See you, Wednesday.